The bus had fallen down a snowy cliff. Upon arrival, the rescue team began by clearing snow around the vehicle to create working space. They then used tools to remove bolts and nuts from the wheels, preparing the bus for lifting. Next, a crane was positioned carefully, and lifting cables were attached to secure points on the bus. Due to the steep slope and the bus's heavy weight, the lifting process was extremely challenging. The crane operator slowly and cautiously hoisted the vehicle, ensuring it remained balanced during the ascent. Step by step, the team worked together to guide and stabilize the bus as it was being lifted up the slope. After a gradual and careful operation, the bus was successfully brought back onto stable ground. The entire recovery required precision, coordination, and great caution due to the dangerous terrain. Due to slippery, snow-covered roads, a serious accident occurred, involving two trucks that violently collided. Both vehicles overturned and fell into a roadside ditch, lying on their sides. The front sections were heavily crushed and shattered, and the cargo bodies were badly deformed. Significant damage was visible across both trucks, indicating the severity of the crash. To recover the vehicles, a specialized rescue team arrived on site with two heavy-duty tow trucks. The operation began with careful inspection and preparation to ensure safety and stability. Thick towing chains were secured around the wheels and axles of the overturned trucks. The winches of both tow trucks were then engaged, gradually pulling the vehicles upright. The first truck was lifted slowly, its bent cab creaking under pressure as the winch tightened. Snow and debris fell off as it was dragged out of the ditch. After repositioning the tow truck, the team continued with the second vehicle. This truck required precise coordination between the rescue vehicles due to its deeper tilt and more severe deformation. With synchronized winching and controlled tension, the second truck was also successfully pulled up from the ditch. Despite the extensive damage, the rescue operation was executed smoothly. Once both trucks were recovered onto the roadside, they were stabilized and prepared for transport. The team then used the tow trucks to haul the damaged vehicles away from the accident site. A Kamaz truck had been stuck for 4 days on a narrow mountain road, tilted dangerously toward a ravine. A crane had previously attempted recovery but failed. One side of the road was bordered by a solid fence, while the other side had a steep drop. To prevent the vehicle from tipping over into the ravine, the team decided to first lower the truck into the gully under control. Upon arriving, the team assessed the situation and began pumping air into the braking system. Due to the limited space, the recovery truck barely fit. The Kamaz was then gently released downhill, with wheels turned to the right to guide its descent into the ravine. The truck slipped slightly, but remained stable. Straps were secured to a crossbeam to avoid damage, and recovery hooks were used to begin pulling. During the pull, the rear wheels of the Kamaz were stuck in the earth. The team instructed adjustments to the steering and braking system. At one point, the handbrake was released, and the truck started straightening out. The front wheels were aligned to maximize traction. Strong ground contact allowed continued movement uphill. To reposition for a better pulling angle, the recovery vehicle was moved. The cable was reattached, and another towing attempt began. The Kamaz steadily ascended. The crew monitored the air hoses and realigned them to prevent damage. Finally, with synchronized winching and steering, the Kamaz was successfully pulled back up to the road. The vehicle was stabilized with wheel chocks, and the handbrake was re-engaged. The operation concluded without significant damage. Though minor issues like low remote battery and misaligned hoses occurred, the team managed them effectively. The truck was now safely parked on level ground, completing a challenging recovery. The recovery operation took place in the Kovrovsky district near Pestovo. A loaded Volvo truck, weighing 26 tons, had veered off the road after hitting the guardrail and ended up in a ditch. The team first released the brake system by supplying air and disabling it manually. Then, they inserted rescue blocks to stabilize the vehicle. Using a crane, they carefully began lifting the truck from the ditch. Due to the slope and the truck's heavy load, the process was challenging and had to be done gradually. After about an hour and a half, the vehicle was successfully pulled out. Despite some visible damage, the operation was completed safely. The rescue operation took place on a rainy day in Ivanovo Oblast, where a loaded Renault premium truck had overturned while avoiding a head-on collision. The vehicle had rolled onto its side in a ditch with a steep incline and partially submerged in a large puddle. After unloading the cargo, the recovery team consisting of 3 operators assessed the site and blocked traffic for safety. Using recovery straps and cranes, they slowly began the righting process. One operator monitored the shoulder while another directed traffic. The truck was gradually lifted, carefully adjusted to prevent slipping further. The cab was found mostly intact, with only minor dents and no major damage to the cargo. The team avoided using stabilizer legs due to uneven terrain, relying instead on precise coordination. As the truck was lifted and turned upright, it was slowly repositioned forward along the narrow embankment. The trailer's brakes had been released prior to rotation using the emergency release button. The recovery crew maintained constant communication, ensuring the trailer's legs cleared the edge and monitored clearance to avoid further incidents. Once the truck was out of the ditch, they began towing it along the shoulder. The entire process was conducted cautiously, considering the mud, slippery slope, and lack of trailer brakes. Eventually, the truck was placed parallel to the road and towed roughly 30 meters to a safer area. Apart from a dislodged mudguard and some muddy surfaces, the truck remained largely undamaged. The team then cleaned the area and concluded the operation successfully. The truck had been stuck in the swamp for nearly a day, completely sunken into the mud. The rescue team carefully assessed the area, ensuring no vehicles approached from behind. A winch was attached to the front of the Gazelle truck. As the pulling process began, the operator skillfully managed the recovery, despite the tight space. Previous attempts with a Jeep and another vehicle had failed. However, with the help of the winch, the truck was gradually extracted from the swamp. Eventually, the Gazelle was successfully pulled out, ending the rescue. A heavily loaded Maz truck, carrying 19 tons of glass, got stuck on a narrow road with deep, swampy shoulders in the village of Urshel, Gus Krystalny district. The vehicle had slipped off the roadway during the night, blocking traffic and causing long jams. In the morning, a crane that was also trapped in traffic was called into service. The recovery began with the team carefully evaluating the position of the truck, which was tilted dangerously and at risk of slipping further. The crane slowly lifted the front of the truck while the tow team secured it to a recovery vehicle. The main challenge was avoiding further damage, as one of the trailer's stabilizing legs had snagged in the ground. Gradual maneuvering was necessary to prevent tire dismount or rollover. During the process, the crane repositioned the vehicle, allowing the recovery team to pull it inch by inch. One wheel was almost fully buried, and the soft roadside had formed a steep ledge. Despite difficult terrain and the risk of vehicle instability, the combined lifting and towing efforts slowly extracted the truck. Eventually, the Maz was freed, though it lost 2 spare tires in the process. Covered in mud and damage minimized, the truck was returned to the road, and traffic resumed. The rescue operation began at night after a white car plunged off a bridge into a deep ditch below. The car was significantly damaged, indicating that it had fallen from a considerable height. Upon arrival, firefighters and paramedics immediately coordinated efforts to assess the situation and assist the victims. The emergency response team carefully approached the accident scene, which was difficult to access due to the car being wedged between steep rock walls. Paramedics administered first aid, while rescuers carefully removed the occupants from the wreckage, prioritizing safety throughout the process. To recover the heavily damaged car, a crane was brought in and positioned near the edge of the bridge. Rescuers secured the car with a lifting device and slowly lifted it out of the ditch. This operation was carried out with precision to avoid further damage or risk to those involved. The area was surrounded by numerous emergency vehicles, including fire engines and ambulances. Barricades were placed along the bridge to ensure safety. The rescue operation demonstrated the professionalism, coordination, and dedication of the emergency services as they worked in challenging conditions to save lives and secure the scene for further investigation. The rescue process began after a Unimog slipped off the snowy road. Initial recovery attempts using other Unimogs failed. Eventually, an early model Unimog 406 was brought in. The rescue team cleared snow from around the stranded vehicle. Then, a tow strap was attached to the front frame of the stuck Unimog. With careful maneuvering, the Unimog 406 successfully pulled the vehicle back onto the road. After receiving an emergency call, 3 firefighters from the Riesler Fire Department arrived at the scene in a heavy rescue vehicle. A tourist from Luxembourg had lost control of his car on a steep, snow-covered road in front of a hotel entrance in Hirschegg. The vehicle slid sideways and came to rest precariously at the edge of a slope. Fortunately, an iron rod embedded in the ground stopped the car from sliding further down, preventing potentially severe damage. Upon arrival, the rescue team assessed the situation and prepared the heavy rescue truck's loading crane for the operation. Stabilizing measures were put in place to ensure safety during the lifting process. A cable was securely attached to the stuck vehicle, and with precise control, the crane gently lifted the car off the slope edge. The maneuver was carried out carefully to avoid causing damage to the vehicle or the surrounding area. The car, which was equipped with all-weather tires and remained mostly undamaged, was safely placed back on the road. The rescue operation was completed smoothly and efficiently without the need for towing or dismantling. In the early morning, a bakery delivery car skidded on an icy road and landed in a ditch. A heavy crane truck was called in to recover it using a spreader beam. However, during the lift, the car swung violently, causing the crane to tip over despite its stabilizers. At around 10:45 a.m., the Riesler Fire Department and another towing company arrived with heavy equipment. The firefighters first secured the bakery vehicle and took measures to prevent environmental damage. Then, they stabilized the overturned crane truck. After more than 2 hours, both vehicles were successfully recovered. The bakery car's roof was dented, while the crane remained mostly undamaged. The recovery truck was securely positioned near the overturned truck. A specialized winch cable was attached to the truck's chassis. Using its crane and winch system, the recovery vehicle slowly lifted and rotated the truck back to an upright position. 4 off-road trucks were moving along a snow-covered road when the leading truck got stuck in deep snow. A tow rope was connected from the rear of the first truck to the front of the second, then continued linking all 4 trucks. The 3 rear trucks accelerated together, successfully pulling the first truck backward.